Ladies and gentlemen, guys, gals, and non-binary pals, welcome back to ETF2L Season 47, when we made it all the way to Week 5 as NANDEM are trying to fight against a wounded and bleeding vet. Das liest is doof. I think I did a very good job today. Support me, two Germans on a broadcast as well. We've got Samus on production, and then Sunny. How did I do? Did I pronounce that correctly?
Apart from doof, yes, you did an okay job.
Doof?
Did you say doof? Yes, that's how you pronounce that.
Oh my
Anyway,
god.
anyway, yeah. So this is the Germans team. We just call them that because it's easier to say than the whole sentence. And also, they placed Prem second place last season, and now they're not making playoffs. What's happened here? How have we gotten to this point?
We've ended up in a situation where the Germans had to play against basically the top 4 teams in the season, or the expected top 4 teams. They played against TLR week 1, and then, which, the Premiership winners last season. Then they played against NANDEM, who are currently sitting on top of the tables. And then they played quite a close game against Forfent, so quite eke it out, get a golden cap victory, but they lose Metalwork 2-1. And then last week, they had a bit of a game, a very tight one against Garda Panteri, where they came out 3-3, 1 golden cap apiece, and that puts the Germans in a very, very tricky spot if they want to make it to playoffs. We were talking about it earlier. We haven't really done the math. It's like a they need to get all 6 points, and then God needs to smile on them, and a couple satanic rituals need to be performed, so somehow they end up with 5 plus 18. That's an amount of points, and then yeah.
Nobody above them somehow gets any points whatsoever, which is already going to be weird. There needs to be some penalties handed down or something like that, just to get all out on it. Yeah, it's curious, isn't it? I mean, maybe it's a testament to the competition level increasing in Prem. We talked about this last season already as well, and maybe even the season before. Ever since Witness have been gone, basically, how it's been with like the void created by the top teams retiring, you suddenly have such a tight competition in Prem, and it's only gotten tighter and tighter. I mean, this season you've got 6 teams in contention for playoffs. The Germans, ironically, not one of them, and suddenly, like, you don't know what's going to happen. Any team in the top 6 spots can still make it or break it. Well, maybe except NANDEM. That's kind of crazy. We haven't had situations like that occur all that often. So it's going to be too.
I think if you look at this, you're still seeing NANDEM at the top of the tables, right? But yeah. Also NANDEM at this point are becoming like 3rd place merchants. They really This is the season, dude. Sunny. If NANDEM,
surely
we're not watching them play tonight, but like if NANDEM don't make playoffs or if don't make the finals, it's over for them. But like, okay, you're in this season, and I think it's not the first time that we've kind of seen like the top team that's kind of been in the control of a region for a really long time kind of step away. But what we've had in the past when this has happened, right? Last time we saw this was when Seven stepped away from the scene. We shortly sort of also saw Ascent kind of leave as well. And that left, which at that point ended up being Ascent, which is what we now call Witness, kind of taking the throne, because there wasn't really anyone on that level to really compete with them anymore. But we don't have that secondary team. Like TF2 Easy would have been the shoe-in for that spot, but TF2 Easy are kind of gone as well. And we're looking at the teams from last season, the sort of TLR team. It's not that we saw Poland that kind of managed to take it at least on one map against Witness, right? They're not really here in the same form. And yeah, I mean, the throne is empty, right? It's a very chaotic season we get as a consequence. But usually, we see this in North America as well, right? The Freyotech team falls or whatever. There's usually another team kind of waiting in the ranks to kind of take the top spot. This time, there just isn't really one. Or maybe there's many, depending on how you look at it.
Yeah, I mean, if you're looking at TLR's season so far as well, they haven't been having the hottest time either, right? They've been struggling a little bit. They're probably still going to make it. But yeah, we've talked enough about the Germans not making it anymore. It's on NANDEM. They can still actually make playoffs. They have a couple of matches left this season as well. They certainly can gather some points and perhaps eke their way into those playoffs. And as a, effectively Prem newcomer team, making playoffs in your first season, that's nothing to scoff at either. They're already, I think, at least in my opinion, performing better than I would have expected them to, considering that not most of the people on that team don't have much of any Prem experience at all. So, yeah, that's quite surprising in my opinion.
Yeah, I think I was looking at them, like, I think the first time you sort of really saw these guys was at Poland earlier, a couple months ago, and there as well, I remember, like, doing my prep, and you look at the names on the list, and they don't They don't seem to be like that impressive, to be completely honest. There are a bunch of Prem teams that you were expecting to just kind of handily beat them. But everyone was telling me in my Twitch chat that like, no. These guys are like actually kind of for real. Like they're pretty good. And they'll probably beat some Prem teams. I was like, yeah, whatever. Like you guys are witnesses just washed in scrims, you know, like who cares? But then it turned out, I mean, yeah, they finished pretty decently in Poland and had some strong showings as well. And then this time around, I think they're kind of capitalizing off of a little bit of a weaker top tier Prem. They had a very close couple maps versus the Frenchies as well. But enough about that. We're live once again. ETF2L season 47 NANDEM versus wer das liest is doof. Did that correctly this time. We're back on middle. Luca Enderman is gonna face a soldier bombing in on top. We're doing just okay right now. So Bam being shot across, and then is a blank jumping up on the high ground.
You love to see it. They're being very careful, both teams. I mean, setting soldiers high, but no deep bombs for a long while. Shock is actually going to be the first to die. Just some effectively spam. Not much else to that, and, well, this might be enough for the Germans to call off the mid, but they're not going to go out without fighting. The KN does pay for the overextension ever so slightly, though, and, well, with that, they do have to just hold second off the back of it. Pickle's building a lot slower as well, so they're actually just going to have to give up on the back of that Uber this ad.
No.
Philip and Voxy both get caught too. Pickles actually does as well! What? No! Oh my god.
This is an absolute disaster here for the Germans. Horrible start for them. They lose the two players in the middle. Really nice play from NANDEM, recognizing that they can capitalize off of the two picks. They get on the middle, allows them to just push forwards, and then Germans not backing out far enough. Instead, now, Pickles falls so late, he's still not alive. There's no HP on this blue side, and you can see NANDEM are cruising in, already point over half cap, but they haven't managed to convert. The Pyro's up, and now the Heavy as well. The Germans may be breathing slightly easy as the Pyro gets a reflect kill there. Shocky still here across time and space, and he's holding up the point for now, just barely.
Yeah, once you put my man on his main, suddenly he starts making moves. They hold the last. That's incredibly well done, honestly. NANDEM just not managing to get the ground they needed, and yeah, KN trying his best to maybe capitalize off the chaos as well. Gets Unforgiven dangerously low, but there's nothing to follow up on that medic for, so they're just gonna have to do this the old-fashioned way. Fight over the second with NANDEM keen to get back on it immediately. Pickles goes dangerously low as well now. Nobody to follow up on that medic either, but it's just dangerous both sides here. Both medics playing with fire, neither having an Uber to save themselves with if need be either. So they're just hanging on, and the Germans are keeping up the momentum. They know they still have a couple of numbers advantage. The soldier still just now spawning. They have an opportunity to actually keep this momentum forward, keep going perhaps, and contest at least mid with an Uber. But again, Pickle's building much slower, means that they're gonna have to bide their time ever so slightly. And it looks like just off of a dry little bit of pressure, that's all they need to get that mid cap. Fair enough.
They get the mid cap, and I'm surprised that NANDEM were in for as long as they were. They didn't really have much of an advantage to play off. Kind of just, I guess, looking to see if there's an angle onto Pickles, but they don't find it instead. CKN now as well, setting up for the bomb, trying to go in that way, but Ubers are even now, so the game is probably going to slow down just a little bit, Germans, to find a way to crack this second hold here. You can see Unforgiven holding up on top, Scout there in place, both of them building up the Uber charge, so both teams have it as well. Shocky peeking in PC. You see the rest of the Germans. There we go. It's a Shocky being a little bit sneaky, running forwards, but doesn't quite find an angle to anything. Just has to run out through choke. Does get taken down. There's one kill as KN goes in. Does not get the force on Unforgiven. Back to 100 HP, and we're completely fine. Now, 2 players down, and NANDEM are looking to return it instead.
Yeah, that's your cue for counter aggression. You take down basically the flank, and you've got some room to work with, and that's all it really takes. Even if you don't find frags, as a matter of fact, you lose your own soldier, you still pressure these Germans back so much, so low for a while there as well. Okay, they lose Hugie as well. Philip does get taken down though. That's gonna turn the tides ever so slightly, even if these Germans can re-aggress. The exchange is suddenly looking a lot better for the side of NANDEM, and the Ubers are gonna be exchanged. Just kept on the scouts for the time being. Voxing Pickles trying to be a little cute here, maybe cut off an escape, but that's not happening either. They're just gonna reset it.
There's no space for the Germans to really come into second here. They're down a demo, so they can't make any push forwards. The Uber seemed, honestly, to be slightly more favorable for them, but NANDEM managed to kite it forwards, keep their medic and the scouts alive, and that means that now everything's just kind of even. KN bombing all the way back to last. Have to see what class chooses to come up on, and there we go. It's the KN sniper.
He loves the sniper. He does those. That's not a surprise. This early is certainly going to switch it up a little bit. Maybe not expecting it on the side of NANDEM just yet. Although they'll probably grow wary as they see that the Germans are being suspiciously passive for the time being, setting up some sidelines, maybe trying to bait somebody into that KN Sniper. It's certainly a force to be reckoned with if he manages to actually hit some shots here. They're being aggressive now in choke, trying to, you know, get the enemies to do something. But why would you if you're defending on NANDEM? You know, you gotta be crazy. You gotta have some actual incentive to move out. Otherwise, you can just wait for the Germans to come in and make the mistake. At the end of the day, they were certainly not looking dominant for the first little bit. There's the sniper in play. He's got some sightlines on that second point. Shutters open, shutters closing, but ultimately he's not hitting any shots. Fishkov actually gets taken down as well, and that's... We're gonna put a seal on that sewer play immediately. Matter of fact, there's two players almost trying to push from mid here, and a soldier already jumping in behind a double flank, just being a bit of a nuisance, and there goes the sniper. Oh, actually, they got the Uber? I didn't even notice that. When did that happen?
They get the Uber force, so they come in through choke, try to get the counter Uber out of Pickles, and they finally do. But it's a lot of kills here on the Germans. They have to be super, super careful. This Uber needs to find a lot of frags onto Voxtech, and it doesn't. Instead, now NANDEM have managed to kite this Uber all the way out. The Shocky has to take care of this player. Now, Germans, 3 picks, they should be able to stream forward. You can see NANDEM do not want to contest second at all, but it was scary for a couple seconds there. Germans were down a lot of players, and those players on the high ground for NANDEM not able to capitalize instead. Now we're building up Uber charge again, but Unforgiven got a bit of an advantage. We are not going to see anything happen though, because Phoenix building up that gun. Luca Enderman sticking off the rollout as well, and there we go. Sniper up here for the side of NANDEM as well.
Yeah, they're just content to hold this for the time being. It's not necessarily the easiest last point to push at the end of the day. Very much so going to be on the Germans to try and convert this. It's their ball. The ball's on them. They got to make something happen. They got to get in there in any way they so desire. I suppose we'll see how they actually approach it. Not even taking lobby for the time being. Just trying to maybe spam their way through somewhere. They're taking it very methodically, taking it very slowly, giving these NANDEM players a lot more ground than they would perhaps expect. And KN gets, well, stuck in and dies to a sentry gun. That's unfortunate.
Yeah, it is. I think you can afford the sack here as well, right? You can see the counter sack immediately actually in onto Pickles, dropping really, really low there, but nothing further really comes of it, thankfully, for the German side. But yeah, you can it's perfectly fine to sack there as well. We're almost guaranteed seeing a KN sniper coming up there as well. So you can just take the sack in with the gun as well. I mean, that sack basically never does anything. Even, like, you give that soldier all the support in the world, but if you don't have an Uber or something tanking the sentry gun the entire time, like, you can't go anywhere. Now, instead, it's a sniper peeking into lobby. And this sightline is nice until people realize it's a sniper, and you just can't do anything. Sniper, basically, into the last, he kind of only has hero shots to go for a little bit. Or a demo man over peeking here as well. You can kind of see him trying to angle around. But negotiating the staircases when you are scoped in is a little bit difficult. Neither sniper is really going to see each other, and the soldiers can spam the sniper so easily. You're seeing it now. Kane taking a lot of damage. There we go. It's a demo man revealing himself. Soldiers, well, 150, and just gets shut down there by Hugie. Huge opening kill there onto Fishkov. KN unable to find anything in return. Just has to back out now. Once again, the Germans, they're going to have to stop Hugie pushing in, not finding the shot.
Just the aggression out of NANDEM. 4 players immediately flooding into lobby as soon as they take down out 1 soldier. Just trying to back up Hugie for a hero shot of his own. And, well, it almost worked. It didn't quite get there, but at the end of the day, you're just holding last. Anything goes as long as you don't lose your entire team, and they didn't. So they're just going to reset this and buy themselves some more time instead. As it's on the Germans once more to try and bust this last hold open somehow, with NANDEM now woefully aware of what's going to bite them. Well, except for Archer, who gets well traded out for Fishkov eventually, but they do trade for each other. That's just a couple of soldiers dealt with. That's not really going to turn the tides on this last hold for the time being. It's going to require a little bit more. That sniper duel has to be won by somebody. Okay, and has to hit that hero shot at some point. But for the time being, it's just going to be more peeking and prodding. Hugie trying to go for a deep peek, immediately getting shut down. Yeah, we respect it, but yeah. Okay, Voxy tries to run into Sentry as well, just gets taken down. I don't know, I feel like they're struggling. I feel like the Germans are losing their minds a little bit. They're not figuring this out. They don't know what to do. This KN sniper has he's been shooting Archer in the head repeatedly, but that's all he's been doing, you know?
It's kind of hard, right? Because it is kind of a hero shot you need to go through here. You have 1 soldier kill now to work with. There's a little bit more space onto last. But look at how good NANDEM are at locking down this choke point here as well. KN, crucially also, Hugie getting the better of him multiple times in these sniper bombing ones. Unable to follow up this kill, which now a Rentria back up. They do find 1 kill onto a sentry gun here instead. That's just not enough still for the Germans to probably come in. Hugie now, though, under fire from his scout. Shoki's just in. So much damage coming across now. It's a kill onto the sniper, but that's it. It's traded across Phoenix. Had some crits and does manage to find a return kill. Now it's 3 dead, including Philip here. Demoman going down means Pickles is all the way back out into choke. This is not working out for the Germans. There's not that much time left on this round, but I think NANDEM, they're taking the second point.
Yeah, they're not gonna go for the round reset. They're not pussies like that. They want to fight this, and I respect it. Knowing that they've got the Uber in store and stuff, why not try? Why not try something? So I suppose we're gonna maybe see them even make a move into mid, depending on how set up and confident the Germans are feeling in holding. Or maybe they're just gonna go back to holding second instead. I suppose for the time being, we do see them mounting a little bit of aggression in the sewer area. The flank also being far forward. Unfortunately, just straight out Archer for Shocky. KN trying to get some ground, just gets shut down, shot out of the air immediately. At least he lives for the time being, but Hyuji's already on the flank behind Fishcup, who's trying to slip in now as the rest of the fight unfolds. No Ubers popped just yet either side. I'm surprised both medics are just deciding to hang on and just drop their whole teams, and somehow, some way, the Germans actually bullied their way in. Taking down that demo was all it took, I suppose.
This is kind of scary for NANDEM. Germans could have dot pushed that. It would have been really scary. Down a demo. See, the Demons are still trying it because Luca Enderman just spawned. But now the fact that Luca's up, it should be able to hold down these choke points. And I don't think the Germans can commit anymore. They had a tiny little window there. Instead, they're just sending in KN. Don't think he'll be able to find anything. Instead, now it is Shocky on the spine.
Ooh.
He's managed to get through the choke point successfully. Now, Look and Dagger, we're going to be waiting for a while. I think this play takes some time to set up. Germans probably need to instigate some sort of distraction. At the moment, Shocky just feeding information. The sentry gun, his placement on the point. The demo man as well, setting stickies. He spots his target, the medic. The medic already in position now.
It is a tight one. He's early on the spy play, so they're probably not going to be expecting it for a while. But they might realize sooner rather than later that, again, the Germans are going to be being a bit more passive here. They seem to be lacking some aggression, a player somewhere. He's got to make something happen sooner rather than later. He does decloak. Let's just decide to sit up there in the panic room for a while. Maybe even just going to settle for a sniper, who knows? No, he's going to set up the sentry instead. Coordinate with a bomb. As Fishcup goes in and he gets the drop!
Oh,
Alright! Fair enough. He gets away with it too. Alright. I gotta say it worked out. Sometimes the sentry sap is all you need.
Oh my god, that's such a big deal for the Germans, but they still, look at how many players they lose in that sack. They can't go immediately because they lose 3 members now. Waiting for their players, waiting for Shocky to come back up as well, but this is a ginormous advantage for them to play off this round. Looking gifted to them on a silver platter. Hyuji off the sniper, instead on the heavy. He's got the Shocky bar out, and he's sitting on top, eating that, getting as much health as he can to hold this off. They've got a gun, they've got a heavy, and the Germans need to shut this down appropriately. Spam out of Philip will be crucial, and we need the scouts to follow it up as well. Uber comes in, straight through 3, and now we're coming straight in on 2 at last. Sentry gun taken down, now heavy on top, is not really able to contest the point. Soldier playing onto it, but no one else is there. As Scout is capping it just a little bit, but now the kills are coming forwards, and it's on the side of NANDEM. No real space has been found for the Germans. The heavy is up, and he's denying the space. At NANDEM, they hold on. Now, they're rewarded with an Uber charge of their own.
Yeah, they just didn't have any sort of focus on that heavy whatsoever. To be fair, Hyuji didn't even show himself for the longest time either, so it's not like they could have spammed him if they wanted to on the side of the Germans, but they gotta deal with the second point instead now, and they keep bleeding players. KN goes down, Fishcup is, well, he wins the fight on the flank against Hyuji. Do not disrespect that guy, he does hit rockets eventually, but yeah, they gotta give up second off the back of that. Unforgiven is gonna have that full Uber. Pickles is gonna come up on his own sooner rather than later though, so they will be able to stabilize for now. Blank might be cheeky, but ultimately he's probably just gonna get forced out of that choke again. He's not gonna be doing much more than a little bit of cheeky spam. And there we go. It is once more reset to the second stalemate instead. It's been almost 15 minutes and not a single round has been converted yet. I'm surprised, honestly. I'm surprised. Because after that first mid-fight, like, this could have gone quickly.
We've seen failed last pushes from both teams. Neither of them able to properly capitalize off of big Uber advantage pushes. Now instead, we're back on the sack train as KN bombs in and gets absolutely nothing in return. Now Fishcup is in with the follow-up bomb. Doesn't quite hit the follow-up rocket either. Unforgiven, down to 80 HP, but is sitting mighty fine there in a rollout. Now, both soldiers down for the blue team. NANDEM soldiers now in return. You can see them looking to just try and take the space in through choke instead. We don't care about the sack. We can take your midpoint for free. It's looking nice. Instead, oh no! It's a Rockstack dropped in the Uber there, and this is terrible for the Germans. There's no one really able to do anything with this Uber. And now NANDEM, they get the midpoint for free. They get the Uber for free. They can go into second.
As a matter of fact, they could roll it all the way to last, depending on how the Germans handle the next couple of point transitions here. If they struggle getting out a second in time, they could very well find themselves on the end of a last round in the next minute. So I suppose we'll see if they can get an early 4CK, and certainly tries to maybe go high for a second. The sides against it ultimately. They're gonna have to give up the second for free as well. They want to fight it so bad. Voxy's still in until the last moment, but they just have to hold last now. They know they have to. They have to hold up these NANDEM players as best they can. They're already in last. Finally, the Uber is used. And they're gonna be able to get at least a bit of point pressure going as well before these German players are forced onto the point, but they're just mulching them. They're mulching all these NANDEM players on the point. Oh my god.
Philip there with the end. The follow-up bombs at the very end, taking down 2 and keeping the point alive. They're so close for NANDEM within touching distance. Look at Hugie. One final attempt is instantly spotted out by KN, who just knew, okay? It's all game sense, baby.
He knows something like that could be coming his way, and you gotta respect that. So they get to stabilize on second at least a little bit, but not for free. NANDEM aren't giving this one up without a fight. Matter of fact, they're gonna send in whatever they can and lose blank for it as well. And their other soldier, Archer, goes down as well. So now they're definitely gonna be on the back foot. Hugie just now spawning on second to back up his team as they try to hold that instead. And well, he's picked up the rifle again as well. He's gonna be sniping. Perhaps not ready on the side of the Germans as the Uber comes in. They do find Unforgiven immediately. That's the pick you want there with an Uber this early. Pickles even picks up the minigun. Gets himself another 60% immediately. This is so free. This is such a free last push, bro. They have to do it.
Guys, if you're a German in any sense, if you've ever pasted that Sheffy and Shan, if you paste another one right now, maybe it's enough for the Germans to come in. They have such a big advantage here. Huge push for them. NANDEM could not go in off of those kills that they did get, because they just didn't have the Uber. Now instead, with the follow-up bomb there as well into Unforgiven, it's actually Voxy going down early before the push even starts. You know he loves to lead these Ubers. With him going down, this is buying a lot of time here for NANDEM. Instead, now the push is coming in all the way from far left here, as the sentry gun is taken down here. Sticky shot across, but now Uber coming out, not finding all of that much, as it is Shocky on the cap, gets it about halfway done. No kills even coming out though for NANDEM's side, as they are losing 2, including their demo man, but the heavy is still up, doing a lot of work, but now it's just projectile classes onto the point, and there we go. Germans around on the board. It took them a little bit of a while there, 17 minutes for round number 1.
They do come out in the end after a shambolic mid-fight, honestly. They somehow just about catch themselves and manage to bring it back to the first round on the board. Now with 13 minutes left, it's certainly still anybody's game. Anybody can bring back a round or 2, but it's going to put a little bit more pressure on NANDEM now to start performing, as Fishkop goes in for an early bomb on the mid immediately. Doesn't really find much except some damage on the medic, but KN is there to follow it up, and they do find that frag. They lose a couple on their own side as well, though, and now it's Pickles on Voxy left alone versus 3 players trying to hunt that medic down desperately. Unfortunately for them, they're all very low on health, and they can't really follow that up, so they're just going to have to be content with capping mid, but losing out on that medic frag that they would have so wanted to keep themselves in the game, because now the Germans have a good comeback chance immediately.
It's all on NANDEM to try and spring a trap on to Pickles now as well, right? You can see he has such a massive advantage. NANDEM need to get this Uber out of Pickles ASAP. You can see them sitting in on middle as well, spamming this choke. They need to get something onto Pickles, because if they don't get this force out now, it's really, really dire for them as well. Just delaying this for as long as they can, get Unforgiven an Uber charge of his own, as he's already about 50%. Germans is still dealing with these soldiers in behind the BC as well. Do a decent job of distracting now. Our entry is maybe just about going to get out as well. You can see NANDEM now finally back up to send in one soldier. Pickles dropping so low, not quite popping that Uber. Instead, picks up the pack. They lose one as Fishkoff, but look at Unforgiven now. NANDEM, they've completed their task at hand, because Unforgiven sitting at 100%. They can take the second. They can fight it.
They can definitely do it. In terms of players, they're equal as well, so they got nothing to worry about there. And KN is going to be the first one. Actually, was that a crit? No, that was not a crit. I was just seeing the little pickaxe kill, making that be a crit. As the Ubers are exchanged, they fade, and this is where it matters, as, well, it's only a soldier down either side for the time being. Voxy is going to trade out as the next player. There goes Shocky as well. No scouts for the Germans. It's Philip desperately trying to hang on and keep his medic safe, and somehow still escaping with his life for the longest time. In the meantime, Fishkoff slips in and kills Unforgiven.
Yep. Really nice bomb from him, actually managing to capitalize, getting that very last rocket off in the end. Didn't have to commit to a direct, instead waited for Unforgiven to land on the floor, getting the easy spam rocket, and that is really big advantage for the German side as Fischkopf, the big heads-up play. I'm honestly really liking what I'm seeing. Normally, you look at this German team and you're kind of looking at Fischkopf to be more of a role player, but honestly, right now, feels like with 2 soldiers, he's definitely the one having a bigger impact.
Yeah. In general, I think he's stepped up his game a lot over the past couple of seasons. I remember him just starting out in Prem. He was still a little wary at times, but he seems so much more confident in the plays he goes for. He actually hits some insane stuff going, so it seems to be working well for them, as KN is going to be the spearhead this time around, trying to get some ground here on grass, making some room for his team as they fall up. Fischkopf is already in lower IT, ready as well to bomb whatever is in front of him. He's going to get a nice couple of rockets on either soldier. None of them cleaned up just yet, but it's enough to pressure them back, and maybe that's just all it takes. Maybe if you can bully his way in, you still have the Uber ad. Now it's going to be equal, but, you know, you get a point effectively for free. That's decent enough.
You have very quick, limited amount of time to go in before the setup properly comes out for NANDEM. You can see they try to capitalize with a soldier bomb coming up. The sentry gun still only level 1. There is ever an opportunity to try and come in. It is now, and it is a kill being found on a 2 at the side of NANDEM. They lose another player as well. Now Germans are just coming in off of the small, tiny crack in the defense. It's Voxy running around, and he's not quite getting the pistol RNG. Instead of Shocky, it's just on the point. Uber comes out, but they're not on the point to block it. And that is Germans capitalizing, coming in. They're 2-0 up now, and with 4 minutes left to go on this map, they're looking to take their first 3 points.
In a while, let's say it like that. In a little while, they need them. They need them desperately. Those 3 points. It's gonna put them in contention at the very least for still making playoffs. It's still not necessarily very likely, but any points they can get are gonna be ones that help them, and we'll see how this next mid fight shakes out for them once more. As KN decides to go for an early bomb again. It worked well for them last time. There you go. And Unforgiven immediately nuked down. Fischkopf is in behind as well, as the remaining NANDEM players now are gonna be trying to do the same to Piggles, but he's already bunkered up on his own choke, and they just have to deal with this one little Fischkopf behind who's being a bit of a nuisance. Yeah, they might kill him eventually, but it certainly pulled back a lot of aggression. And they lose Phoenix in the exchange. Blank, oh my god. I just caught it.
This is just a bit of an overcommit for the Germans. I feel like trying to go off of the distraction from Fischkopf. They know they have him in behind, wanting to use that numbers advantage with the medic down as well to get him to mid, and they do, but they fail to keep their primary sort of carry alive in a sense, right? Pickles goes down to the bomb out of blank, and now NANDEM, with a medic of their own, can come right back in and claim this point. The Germans didn't even get the cap. They didn't even get the forward spawn here. They have to run so far, and this ends up with NANDEM kind of taking control of the middle here.
Yeah, somehow, some way throughout this very prolonged mid-fight, they come out on top. However, it's not a one battle just yet. They might have won that little fight. They might have won the mid-fight finally. They still got 7 minutes to do 2 rounds, which is, well, not the easiest thing to pull off in the world. Even if the Germans, you know, a bit of a disadvantage now. They're not going to be giving it up for free either, and they're getting the frags. They shut down both Phoenix and Blank immediately, and force the rest of these NANDEM players to escape back to mid as Philip just goes in for a deep bomb, and they're actually gonna just force the Uber out of Unforgiven with that. Okay, interesting choice. I mean, it works out well for them. Piggles is safe for the time being. The Uber is faded, and now Unforgiven is kind of in no man's land. Fischkopf could have almost cut him off if he wasn't being chased down by 3 people, and we're not gonna talk about what happened to him. Nobody saw it anyway. Don't worry about him. He's having a fun time.
Yeah, now it's Germans, they're back in control of the midpoint, and even more crucially, right, they have this giant advantage to play with, managing somehow to duck into their own PC, keeping their medic alive, the combo strong, and that means that instead now we can push in through 1 here, all the way to Soldier bombing, trying to make his way into Al-Qaeda. Decent rocket down onto Voxy, decent pipe onto Voxy, Luca Enderman from across the server. I've made the Dallas Mavericks joke already, but we're gonna throw in the reference so I can pretend to be cool again. But now, okay, they do get the force in return though as well. And look at Unforgiven, 90% Uber, but unable to peek through that rollout. Instead, now opting, going in through lower. As the Scout Uber can come in forwards here as well as Phoenix, trying to scout out the area. It's decent demo spam coming across, and now KN landing on top of rollout, getting 1 kill. There's nobody left on last, I don't think, but instead, we're choosing to go in on the point at KN. Once this medic onto Unforgiven and finds it, this is a disaster push out for NANDEM.
They just get caught out by that KN bomb, not really expecting it. Shocky does a bit of damage as well before getting cleaned up with that flank play, and this German flank once more just looking so solid. It's worked for them so well in the past seasons, and it's working again for them now. And just off the back of that little pincer maneuver, they can convert another round, and that's probably already GG's for NANDEM. 5 minutes for 3 rounds is certainly possible, but it's going to require some Herculean efforts to really get going, because you got to make some quick rounds happen, and they haven't been doing that.
Yeah, they need to kind of step on the gas. Philip kind of flubbing his rollout. This is a decent start to the NANDEM side, but they kind of only have one way to go, right? And it is forwards. You kind of have to just Hail Mary it. You can see this already. Blank posturing up on his own Super KN with the counter bomb immediately in onto the enemy team. Not quite finding anything so far, as instead the health bars actually on NANDEM are quite low. They want to go in, they want to get aggressive, but they're getting denied here very effectively by the Germans as Fishkoff in behind into Sewer once again, and he is taken down, but just look at the health bars on NANDEM. They cannot fight it. They're not getting the kill onto Unforgiven, as Unforgiven is really far out, but I don't think it matters, honestly. All the Germans really need is to lock down this second point, and they can just kind of run down the time. More points is nice, but like at this point, it's kind of a map victory.
Yeah, they've basically already won. If you're on the back foot now as NANDEM, after that final mid-fight where you could have had a chance to turn the game around, you're just playing for time. XK is in on last, just trying to be cheeky, trying to make some funny plays happen. Gets dominated by Phoenix as well. You hate to see it. But that's just how it goes, yeah. Germans can just park the bus for a bit to see how they want to do this. Obviously, NANDEM are feeling the pressure. They think they can still do it. They're trying to be a bit aggressive here. Unfortunately for them, there goes both Blank and Phoenix. So that's going to immediately put a cork on that. And matter of fact, the Germans might see the opportunity, seize the moment, and see if they can get into last here. Fish manages to get that kill onto Hugie, and that's just going to give them even more space to work with. Well, okay, this does get cleaned up by the stickies, but
this is so weird, right? They kind of get themselves gifted 3 kills there, but because KN is running back on the sniper and just not in position at all to do anything, they actually can't make anything of the aggression. Imagine Sunny for just a second, they get those 3 kills and they have a soldier to bomb in. Instead, it's a sniper running in very slowly towards second here, as now the Uber's coming out on to Luca Enderman. Does find not that much damage. NANDEM try to poke out with it. Instead, it's just a counter Uber onto Box Tech. It doesn't need to do anything because the headshot now from KN onto Luca, and it should be enough as well. It's a follow-up body shot onto the soldier of Blank. Hugie trying to make magic happen on second here, all on his lonesome, but gets shut down instead. Now, it is just the Germans looking down the game with 3 minutes left to go, 3 rounds. For the Germans, KN with another headshot. And this is maybe even potentially looking like another round. Germans sealing it. They take their first 3 points, and they're looking to get their first 6 points this season here.
They didn't even need a med for the tail end of that either. Piggles was dead for all of that. Even if Yuji's trying to be the hero that they needed, it wasn't enough. KN suddenly starts hitting all sniper shots when it basically doesn't even matter anymore. I guess that's when you activate. That's all it takes, and yeah, they're on match point. I guess they could make it another round in 2 minutes if they keep up this momentum. It's certainly reasonable to assume NANDEM came out swinging at the start on the first mid, but they're not finding this stride now. First kill to Fishkoff might at least give them a chance at this mid fight. With Philip dead as well, they're in a nice position to get this one, but they need more momentum than that, man. If they wanted to get anything, obviously they're in 4 rounds anyway, but they're just not fast enough. Even if this were still a possibility, they'd be bleeding time already, so this is just for fun. They're just seeing what they can do. Kane is going for cheeky bombs and somehow still escaping as well. He gets out, of course he gets out there, right? As you do. That's, yeah. Alright, well I guess we'll see a last push attempt out of NANDEM here. They do have an Uber ready. They're going for an exchange. Phoenix is just getting juggled to high hell. Bro is straight up just not having a good time. He doesn't even get a single frag. He just has to run away again now. There's no shot they will ever push this point whatsoever. Germans didn't have to use. They have a full team heavy ready as well. This is just a disaster in the making. I'd honestly be impressed if NANDEM gets any kills at all here.
Yeah, this is kind of NANDEM trying to make something happen, trying to make something work, but instead you see Fishkoff is in behind there as well, getting that follow-up kill onto Unforgiven. Now Hugi's just only able to find 1 right. It's just 2 up. They're not really going to be able to find anything. There's a minute and a half left on the board. We're in like the deadest of times, as we just kind of wait out the clock. Sunshine at map number 2 in NANDEM. They were in contention for a really long time as well. Hats off to them, right? They might even get okay. Hugie is denied by that pyro as well, but they were in contention for such a long time. But then unfortunately, they kind of lost that first round. They had an opportunity to take a really quick round at the beginning, but then losing momentum towards the end of the map, and that would just mean that the Germans are finally able to capitalize, finding a bit of form, able to go off their advantages, converting some rounds, which is what you want to see for the Germans. I think.
Yeah, I mean, we saw these guys take second in Prem last season. Sure, they had a different medic, but that's the only roster change they went through at the end of the day. And maybe just a couple of first rough weeks got them woken up. Now that they're under pressure of trying to make the playoffs, suddenly they work again. Maybe they are really a team that just works much better under some form of pressure once the edge is on a little bit. And maybe that's all it takes for them to really get going, as they're showing us tonight in a very, very dominant performance against, albeit a much easier opponent than they've been through the past couple of weeks, but still, certainly not a team that you would have expected them to just roll over this quickly, this easily. Looks like NANDEM might actually be able to get one run on the board here if they play their cards right. Never mind, Unforgiven gets destroyed, and Luca has nothing to respond with here either. It's gonna be the Germans taking the round, the map, much rather. Okay.
There we go. So it is, there we go, confirmed 4-0 for the Germans. As NANDEM, they do put up a little bit of a fight, right? And this is not completely one-sided for most of it. We did see a very long 17-minute round to start it off, but then it felt like from there it just kind of crumbled, right? And Germans walk away 4-0. Now, may or may not have a log to put on your screen. Not really sure. I'm going to be honest here, Sunny. I don't think the logs will say anything interesting. I'll just...
Yeah. It was a slow first round, and that kind of just brings everybody's numbers down. Like, there just wasn't really a whole lot that happened for the first 15 minutes. Teams would just send in sacks, and nothing was sticking, and eventually, one team, aka NANDEM, just made slightly too many mistakes in too short of a time frame, and it allowed the Germans to capitalize on it and start snowballing from there. But, I mean, the logs are on screen, I suppose. You can look at them. There's numbers. Well, they're on screen soon enough anyway. There's numbers to glean.
Surely.
Nobody got over 300 DPM, so that's how you know it was a dumpster game. That's the metric I always look at. No 300 DPM. Who even cares, man? GG go next, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, Phoenix does have a nice one, right? He goes 25 for 12.
Yeah.
Pretty solid stat line overall, right? But you can kind of see, like, look at, I guess sort of the main difference, you kind of just go down, your eyes really catch it. It's the medic deaths, right? It's 3 to 13 on the side of Piggles there, taking it against Unforgiven, and I think it kind of reflects that, right? We saw it when NANDEM played against the Frenchies. They managed to take that MAC victory off of them on Metalworks. It really just came down to the fact that Unforgiven didn't die. The bombs didn't work for the side of the Frenchies, but this time around, das liest is doof managed to just find it, make it work, and they get the kills onto the medic. I think they managed to convert. I think we saw in the end as well. It's the tiny little fights, right? It's a small little DM fights. They managed to win, getting the singular picks and managed to play off of them better than NANDEM were playing. We were doing a decent job of it, but not quite making it happen in the end. We're gonna have to see, though, right? Because I mean, Process is a map where it does kind of flow a little bit naturally. Sure, the choke points are big and long, but now we're going to Sunshine. And Sunshine is a map where chokes are really long and it's really hard to go through them. So we're gonna have to see how the aggression pans out there, because you do very much have to commit, and it looks like NANDEM, they aren't scared of committing, Sunny.
Yeah,
but they'll do it.
Although if the first round was anything to go by, the Germans are also not necessarily afraid to commit. Maybe they commit too much and overextend themselves a little bit. But what I did catch, like, occasionally, like, glimpses of whenever in all the chaos, I managed to witness it. I feel like there's a bit of a flank diff going on as well. Like that Shocky, on a flank is already a nightmare to play against. Like, I can't imagine anybody enjoys doing that in general, because Bros just he revels in the chaos. And the Germans obviously love that chaotic play because it enables Shocky to just do his thing. But I feel like a lot of times what we saw on that map, a lot of the plays that ended up working were because the NANDEM flank dropped the ball a little bit. They just got overpowered by the other side. The Germans just played the flank a little bit better. They managed to slip somebody through and wreak chaos behind, whether it was Fishkopf, whether it was Shocky, whether it was KN. Somebody always got in and just caused a bit of chaos, and that's when things unfold for them. And when it comes down to raw chaos and DM, for some reason the Germans just activate. That's when they work best. It's just the strategy that works for them, and NANDEM aren't really finding the response for it so far. Other teams have, and that's why the Germans may have struggled for the past couple of weeks, but NANDEM aren't finding the answer to it at all. They are just not cohesive enough, I guess, to do anything against it. Now, is that going to change on Sunshine?
I think what we're seeing, right, Sonny, is we're seeing a little bit of a hands diffy. Is when it comes down to it, gets down and dirty, and you're just up to the individual playmaking. I think we're seeing the experience of the sort of superior deathmatch of the Germans winning out in the end, right? If you're gonna make the game chaotic and dirty and gross and disgusting, you better have DM to back it up. And I think the Germans, they do. I think if you're looking just like raw in terms of DM sort of prowess on this team, I think it's probably either like at least top 2 in Prem. Honestly, I think they have really good individual players, and if you're gonna make it an individual game, they're probably gonna beat you. You have to answer them as a team, and they're not doing it. You know.
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree. That's just the experience showing, and even if NANDEM players have shown themselves capable, they've shown themselves good. This is a tough opponent to go up against. But enough talking about that metagaming. Sunshine is our next map. I like joking about it. A lot of people like joking about it. It's just Process 2, but it does play differently. As you mentioned, the chokes are quite a bit longer. The flanks also are quite a bit more secluded. You can't rotate between them as quickly, as easily. You can't back people up as quickly necessarily. They're a bit tighter, especially Cafe, right? It's not necessarily gonna play the exact same. And well, if we're gonna put map picks into it, Process was the Germans' pick. This is obviously, in turn, NANDEM's pick, so they must have had a reason to choose this map. Maybe for some reason they're goated at Sunshine as opposed to Process, right? Maybe that's gonna be the turnaround they need, and to stunt the Germans and stop them from ever making playoffs at all whatsoever.
This is the NANDEM map pick. It was the Germans picking Process, but I have to see. So we have been informed that we're going live in like 60 seconds here. Or maybe less. I didn't count from when Sam has posted the message in Mumble, but it should be relatively soon here. Sonny, we have very little time, but give me like 3 words, maybe like a clap or something, and then tell me like who's gonna win this map.
If the form continues, it's the Germans. If they keep up this momentum, the performance we saw on them, out of them on Process, they're taking this one. It might not be as decisive. It might not be a 4-0 again. Maybe, right? Maybe NANDEM find their stride a little bit, but I don't see them beating this German team right now. I don't see them taking this map. Even if it gets closer, it's gonna be like a 3-1, maybe maybe even a 4-2 or something like that. But like maybe there might be a few rounds, but the Germans are winning this. I don't really doubt about that. So it's the points they deserve, I suppose. We'll see if that comes true, as they have indeed started. And this first mid is indeed going to unfold upon us. Momentarily, teams make their way. Archer went very fast really onto the bell tower. Is going to be denying Philip some ground for the time being, straight off the bat, but he's going to have to back off, and the soldiers go high, take some ground. KN is deep onto the medic already with the other soldier right in tow. They find him again, and it's going to be on the Germans to protect Pickles on the other side, which they do a decent job of as well. Only a couple players to worry about with Phoenix, the full health option here, but Voxy's already spotted him. Blank as the soldier. He's gonna try to be a little bit of a bomber here, but he's got such little health. A little bit of damage is all it takes. As if Voxy isn't too distracted by the scout, which doesn't happen, they do win this mid in the end. There you go. Bit clunky, but they get there.
Takes them some time, Voxy not hitting all of his shots, but it was good enough. Pickles stays alive, and now with a giant advantage here to hold off of as well. You can see Luca Eneman doesn't even want to go to second here. Instead, we're setting up on last already. Hugie getting that level 3 built slowly and steadily as the Germans are taking second already. There is nothing to be said. And it is only a sniper on Phoenix up on the opposing side here for NANDEM now. All eyes on Phoenix, going to try to get this shot. If NANDEM can kite this out for a little bit, Unforgiven already about 60-70%, but Uber's coming in, the sentry gun's taken down already, as now Heavy up as well, but look at the cap time coming forward here. It's Voxy straight onto the point, and it's so much cap time, but now, where's the follow-up space for the Germans? The Uber fades, and now Unforgiven has one of his own. 2 kills. It's a decent start. Onto the scout, onto the soldier, but can they follow it up? It's Shocky trying to peek in forwards. The Germans aren't done, but you want to get this medic force off. Instead now, Philip backing off and not finding anything in return. It's just Shocky going in against the whole team, and unfortunately just does not quite have enough health.
Almost gets away with it, but just not quite. It's gonna force this Heavy to be on the point for the time being now, and even if the rest of NANDEM move out, they're already going to be down a player just off the back of that. It's going to make it a little bit harder to get out, and they bought themselves so much time on the side of the Germans. There goes Phoenix taken out before any Uber could have been popped as well. Even if they're going to do point pressure on second, these Germans are back with their own Ubers sooner rather than later. Luca gets taken down. That's disastrous if you're trying to hold last. Even in an equal situation, you do not want to lose your demo to such a long respawn queue. in any way, and that heavy's getting focused as well. The Ubers are exchanged, the heavy is saved. Matter of fact, everybody kind of has to just be saved on the NANDEM side. Unforgiven trying his best to keep everybody alive, and he does for the time being. Now the Ubers are faded, and it's going to be raw DM. With that much cap time, the Germans just jump on the point, clear out that heavy, and get that first round.
Forcing Unforgiven to flash their alarm means that the Uber charge falls basically instantly for the NANDEM side. They don't have it. You really, honestly, in that position, you just want to solo the heavy, right? Because then the heavy can sit on the point, deny it, do so much damage, and you just can't deal with it from the Germans. But instead, because the soldier gets caught out as well, takes so much damage, we're forced to flash multiple players, and that allows the Germans to stay in the heavy, not healthy enough to hold off the aggression. So now we find ourselves back in onto middle, and the Germans with one quick round already, and one quick kill here onto a Rentre, but now the follow-up is coming forward in the favor of NANDEM as they find everyone bar the scout and the medic Piggles. He just has to run away.
Yeah, well, they found a response to all of the aggression out of the Germans, and they're also going to give us a pause, which is nice, I suppose. But they crucially do not find Piggles. That keeps the Germans in this round. That gives them a chance to actually hold this last and not immediately lose a round, making the NANDEM squad come back for free. They're going to have to actually work for it, but we won't know what happens either way. For all we know, somebody crashed during this last hold, and that's why, you know, we're going into a pause now. That's kind of like always the speculating you got to do. Realistically, I would assume one of the Germans had their internet die, because that's what happens in this country. Internet sucks for everybody, so I wouldn't be surprised.
You know, it's actually... Yeah, there we go. We've been informed. There's actually Phoenix disconnecting.
Fair enough.
Hopefully we get him back soon. We can get back underway.
Fair
But
enough.
yeah, okay. We saw a very quick round from the German side, right? They managed to capitalize off of the middle. They managed to capitalize off of the advantage as well. Did have a quick unpause, meaning that probably Phoenix getting back in onto the server. Thankfully, seemingly only a quick disconnect.
Fair enough. Not much of a prolonged pause there indeed, but that's definitely going to stunt NANDEM as well. I mean, they definitely wouldn't have mounted any sort of push with Phoenix lagging, even disconnecting like that. That's going to delay them quite a bit, even if they were going to have any chance of pushing this last. It's going to be tough to say, obviously, because it happens 90 seconds in the future from now, right, as the unpauses come through. But if it happens soon enough, if it's him having a genuine internet trouble, or like disconnecting during this push or something that they're trying to do, it's going to be rough for them, as they're trying to get at least a bit of ground here. But almost losing blank for it. Matter of fact, they do. Shocky just chases down that kill, and there goes Phoenix as well as UG. Yeah, no, they're not doing this push at all. The Germans have an iron fist on this one, and Shocky is out. He's hungry. He wants more.
He goes back into the dungeon from whence he came. Returns to his homeland to flank, as he's done. He came out for a quick little peek, see if he could get any snacks, but unfortunately the medic was Unforgiven, able to go away. It's still even Ubers here, by the way. Both teams kind of chilling, but now the Germans, they claim those 3 kills as the NANDEM try to sack in, get it in on it to Piggles. They do not, which means that now they are forced to stand on a middle instead of second. The Germans now kind of looking to even further their advantage a little bit here. So neither side really has an advantage, and once again the ball kind of in KN's court as he has the shotgun and Philip for 2 as well. And this allows now the Germans to continue to go forward to blank in through choke. Piggles alone until he joins up with Voxy. And now this is disaster for NANDEM.
This is where the pause went through, I suppose. All right. Fair enough. Phoenix just trying to fix his game. Phoenix's internet real quick. There we go. I suppose that might explain why that, little fight there didn't go their way, but hey, they still hang on to that Uber. Unforgiven still has it. They still have a chance to take this right back with the equal Ubers fights, and, well, Fishcup going down early, Shocky getting caught here surely as well. It lives a little bit too long, but does go down eventually. That flank dealt with means now the Germans have to worry about counter-aggression out of NANDEM, which is going to arrive momentarily. A soldier has been scheduled for your Piggles momentarily, perhaps sooner rather than later. There will be some damage on that medic. Perhaps they're just going to settle for actually going for the Uber exchange here. They're going to try to get it out of Unforgiven. Obviously, he pops a lot later. Keeps it solo on Phoenix as well. It's going to fade quickly for Piggles here, but they're not going to chase too much of NANDEM. They aren't feeling that keen at the end of the day. They're just going to take what they can with this mid-cap and go from there, I suppose.
Yep, back to where we started, effectively, right? But this time without Ubers. We're going to maybe see, ideally, honestly, NANDEM, you try to go in, like, now. ASAP, basically. Don't let the Germans set up instead. You can see now they're set up on second. There's not really much you can do anymore, right? Buffing up Blank, you kind of know what to expect from the German side as well. You're going to see a Rentre, you're going to see Blank, some kind of combination bomb where one distracts for the other, and we try to go in and maybe desperately hit a hero shot to Piggles, but now Piggles as well, sitting almost at 100%, Unforgiven as well. So we're edging in through Flowers here, Hugie and Phoenix, maybe looking some kind of angle. Just one soldier holding that lower, but he's holding pretty safe for now.
Yeah, they're just trying to find an opening, trying to see where the hole in this German defense could be. As Shocky finds a hole in the other side and manages to slip through and pull back half of the NANDEM team. Somehow, some way, just gets away with it again. And buys himself a lot of time, buys his team a lot of time here. Even if he does go down, even if NANDEM recoalesce, Blank jumps in, manages to not get onto anything except maybe Fishkofu will just not even go down as cleans up Hugie. Archer can't find anything either. It's just crumbling down immediately. Kane's still rocking that shotgun. I respect it.
It's pretty funny. I think I'm surprised more people don't use it actually, because it is pretty good in some situations, right? If you're on a map like Sunshine where you're not actually most of the time when you're just holding second gonna be bombing a lot, if you're also for the same as like Last Hold, not that much to really use gunboats for, right? Now the Uber comes in, both sides, Phoenix as well, but it is flashed a lot for Unforgiven once again, which means that Voxy can just take this solo, and now the Uber's faded. But nothing's really happened besides the fact that Germans have taken control of second now. Do they have much of an angle onto second? Or, yeah, onto the enemy second? I don't believe so. Have to find some sort of a kill here. As the angle right now is, do trust me. We'll take the scrappy fight. But instead, we're just sitting back. We're relaxing. We're up around. Still 20 minutes left. Many things to play for, but now you can see Kane's given up. He doesn't want to anymore. We're going to go back to gunboats. Nope, we're going to sniper.
You're going to the sniper, all right. I mean, as soon as this guy smells a stalemate, he's like, hey, let me snipe. This guy would be banned off of any pugging site within moments. He loves to play the sniper way too much, but I suppose it can be a difference maker here. He gets some sightlines on Sunshine, not as much necessarily as on Process, but if his team can make him some space, if they can get him something in Flowers here, perhaps somebody on NANDEM a bit too eager to peek that corner, and it could spell doom for their head immediately, and they're banking on that KN play to work out as well, but there's some aggression, and well, the flank didn't get anything done because Hugie gets taken down, and now KN has even more chances to actually do something, perhaps. He's certainly trying, they're denying that sniper as best they can. They know how dangerous he can be, but they also still have to keep themselves alive as best they can, and they're struggling to do both right now. They're not juggling it well enough. Archer does strafe around, gets a nice little bomb in, does get the kill onto KN and the force out of Piggles as well, but they're just going to make it in exchange. Even if it's going to be a bit better for NANDEM, they're not going to be able to chase off the back of that whatsoever. And Archer even gets cleaned up in all of that, so it was all for naught. It was all for nothing.
Ubish just kind of traded there, and one player going down on both sides. It's like, okay, it's fine, right? I mean, KN not really finding that much, to be honest. I think kind of reimagine that situation with KN on Soldier's Stand. It's probably the same thing, right? Like, you kind of see a bit of trading, the bomb comes in, gets the force out on both sides. You kind of have to counter pop as well. And you're back kind of where you started almost, in a sense, right? It's KN still, once again, on this sniper. This time around, not electing for Flowers. Instead, we're looking above the choke point for some kind of soldier aggression. KN is doing this a lot, hovering high up, waiting for a soldier, bombing upwards. But doesn't find him. Instead, the soldiers are on the low ground. This time around, you can see again, peeking upwards and downwards, not finding anything. Meanwhile, the bomb comes in from Fishkop, gets denied there. The big rocket by Blank manages to shut down the soldier aggression from Fishkop. I don't think he would have got that, to be completely honest anyway. It was a really nice shot from Blank.
Well, sometimes you gotta hit one of those to save your team, and now he's gonna try to do the same on the other side. Unfortunately for him, does not hit the damage he wants onto Pickles. Matter of fact, I don't think he hit a single rocket. It happens, it's unfortunate. Boxy just kind of body blocks all of it, but you know, you gotta respect the immediate aggression, trying to make that work. Archer trying to maybe follow up a little bit into Flowers as well. Seeing there was some ground to take, but yeah, Germans have that on control very, very quickly, and they're still banking on that KN play. All he has to do is hit a crucial shot here. Just taking down a soldier, taking down that demo even, would absolutely turn the tides of any sort of aggression they're trying to get in here. As Voxy just kind of W's in for a second and dies, I guess, trying to project some aggression that isn't actually there, and maybe opening a possibility for NANDEM to give themselves some ground here. Archer trying to get through Cafe. Unfortunately for him, there's 2 players staring him down, and they're just gonna go for that KN pick. That's what they wanted here. They sent in a soldier behind. They actually get the Uber out of NANDEM as well. It's gonna turn into an exchange instead, naturally. But Pickles has to heal a few more players. They're all kind of low. They have to get out of here as well, and to have to deal with that blank soldier behind. Just kind of being a bit of a nuisance for a second before getting out. So throughout all of that, they somehow bully their way into mid. NANDEM are back in control at that point. They just have to keep rolling this forward as well.
That was really nicely played from NANDEM there, capitalizing off the sniper, getting that kill, getting a soldier in behind as well, and using the space to come ever so slightly forwards there. Airshot doesn't quite connect there, unfortunately. Would have been a rather large one. But now instead, it's Arantry going forwards with the rest of NANDEM. They're fighting kills onto Pickles as well here. Only 2 up for the German side. Fishkoff not finding a kill either. Only Philip left alive as Pickles is down for multiple seconds here. 1 sticky trap here is Pickles. NANDEM already capping this, already walking in onto Lust. Philip sticking up a lobby instead of the point, and it's just a scout going in. Players up for the German side now as well as Phoenix is peeking the point once again, but they don't get that much cap time. Instead, now KN flirting with a little bit of a flank here. Uber comes out as we do find a lot of kills for the Germans. Now we're cleaning up, and this is looking bad for NANDEM. Maybe overstaying the welcome just a little bit too long. The Germans completely neutralize the aggression. Walk out with a big advantage on their medic as well. Nicely shut down from the Germans.
Yeah, just absolutely no ground taken for NANDEM there. They couldn't really decide whether they wanted to take ground, whether they wanted to kill players or play point, and they ended up doing none of those things. Just stand on the crates for 10 seconds and then get mulched in the end once the Uber fades. Very, well, a lack of coordination there as to what they wanted to do, I suppose, and it bites them. Now they're down 60%, and Pickles is rearing to get his team in onto the second instead. Finally break apart the stalemate ever so slightly. Hugie is a heavy in the forward spawn. This can work if nobody is aware of what could happen here, but for now the Germans are just taking as much ground as they can on second already. Even with that heavy trying to peek out of the door, he just gets shut down. So back to last you go. At least you don't die. At least you have a chance to hold here. And they're probably going to have an Uber ready if the Germans don't move quickly enough. That is the crux of it, though. If they move quickly enough... Okay, they don't. But if they had, they could have probably caught a couple of NANDEM players here. That being said, they won't. They're instead just gonna do it raw. They're just gonna get that force anyway, and it doesn't even matter. Okay, all for nothing. I was gonna spin a whole yarn here. Doesn't matter. They just get the force out of it. Okay, fair enough.
This is a very nice counter push here, coming in from the Germans as well, immediately capitalizing, not even waiting for their 2 soldiers to come back up, because they know they can just surge in onto the point. Heavy not there, Demo Man doesn't have stickies, and that's a really nice heads-up play from the Germans, capitalizing pretty quickly off of that Uber advantage that they do gain.
Yep, just like that. I mean, that's what you like to see. That's why they were second in Prem last season. I suppose the experience is showing, and they did it cleanly, surgically. Now with 15 minutes left, it still could very well be anybody's game. NANDEM could theoretically find their way back into this if they find their form against this German team, but they are outmatched a lot of the time, and as mid-fight progresses, they lose their demo to a soldier. Well, it's an okay trade, but not on a mid-fight necessarily, unless you do the same on the other side. Blank trying his best here, finally gets that kill onto Philip, and actually they find a lot of frags. Matter of fact, the whole damn team. It's only Shocky left alive, trying his damnedest here against 2 scouts. He's won these before. Unfortunately not this time, but it could have happened. He actually got a lot of damage onto Unforgiven somehow, so it could have almost gone there.
2013 anymore, so unfortunately, Shocky. He's got that dog in him sometimes still. He's still got that dog in him, let's be honest. But unfortunately, just proving a little bit too strong there. In the end, not quite able to find the scalp B2. He would have had to hit like 4 meat shots in a row if he wanted to win that.
He probably had the ammo even, so... You never know, you never know. Things have happened, wilder things have happened, but yeah. It's gotta be NANDEM in control now. They have a full Uber ad trying to get this into last as well. The longer they take, the more time the Germans have to set up, but they use it pretty quickly. Sentry's only level 2, taken down immediately. They have a lot of ground to just wrap around these German players with, and they find Pickles and Shocky immediately. Luca dies on the other side, though. No demo to shut down some aggression on this point could spell doom for NANDEM. I mean, they have to still deal with Fishcup and Philip on the other side. Philip's alone, though, and yeah, he just gets juggled out of the way, and there you go. They find a quick response round. Maybe this is a turnaround they actually needed. They are certainly looking on form for that round at the very least.
The dot push there from NANDEM as well, super, super nice. Going in, recognizing if you go in instantly, right, they don't have time on the Germans to set up the gun, set up all the things that make this last so very difficult to push into. They go and take down the gun immediately, capitalize off of it, getting weak players taken down as well, and there's just no space left after that for the Germans to hold on to the point. Back onto mid we go now, and it's Luca Enderman and Philip both getting taken down a little bit low. Eating arrows, now we're back up on top, and that just two very nice kills there for Luca Enderman there. The bomb from Arentra landing as well to Pickles, who's just right in front of him, doesn't even see him. That's a complete wipe there. NANDEM find everyone, and now once again, massive advantage. You can see them. They're not even going to second here. They're going to last.
Yeah, they've tasted blood. They've caught these Germans as fish out of water all of a sudden on these mid-fights. They want to turn this around. They want to show what they're actually capable of, and right now they're doing a magnificent job. They're spawn camping these Germans as well. Shocky trying his best as the Pyro to get his team out of there. They've got the resupply. They do find a frag onto Blank. They do find a frag onto Archer as well. Maybe NANDEM overstaying their welcome ever so slightly. Now the Uber is popped out, but they've already lost two of their most important players to try and make this last push work. Luca is also out of the fight for the longest time, and KN doesn't even get taken down. He lives throughout all that, and Unforgiven is caught in. So nothing comes of it whatsoever. They just overstayed their welcome on that last for too long. Didn't have anything to shut down with, and we're into another pause. Interesting.
I think once again, it's just I think the Uber is just milked a little bit too long there. You lose early players here for NANDEM, and you just don't have, even though you get the Uber off, there's no space to really be taken with the Uber either. So you just kind of end up with the Uber fading, and then all of your players are low HP and no one's in position, and you just kind of lose the fight, right? Which means that now Pickles, he's sitting on 50% here, as he should be looking to push out quite quickly. Luca Enderman is still up though, right? Unforgiven is about to spawn, and that is kind of fine. But Germans now, you can see them already kind of pushing around in lobby. We're looking to go a bit forwards here.
Yeah, I mean, just missing the Pyro, who's obviously gonna spawn as a scout in a minute. That's not gonna slow them down too much. You are, after all, not going to be going up against all that much on the other side. You're not going to have that many NANDEM players being exceedingly aggressive unless they're going for an absolute suicide play. So, yeah, like, the Germans are easily taking back second here, maybe even rolling that into mid. And Lord knows when the pause comes in. Lord knows who causes it this time, right? Whose internet dies this time or anything like that. Whether it's attack pause, maybe some actual strategizing happening, I suppose we'll know eventually, but I mean, if you're NANDEM here, you just had a nice quick round. You almost had two. You really have been looking good on these mid fights, but what if it never comes to another mid fight again? You know, what if you're not gonna have another chance to roll off of a mid fight? Because that seems like the only opportunities they've had all series, really, even on process. Like, they had that first round with a good mid, and they almost converted it. They haven't really been looking that good unless they like just wipe on mid. Unless they get an insanely decisive win on mid, they haven't necessarily converted much beyond that. So I don't know how they're gonna find their way back into this necessarily, right? I feel like it's gonna be, I don't know, a bit tougher.
It is a bit tricky, right? Because you do, as you're saying, have to pick some kind of an angle. But we are on pause now. It's Fishkoff walking in through lower here. As now Shocky is up on Spy. Just quickly checking, making sure. No off classes, no funny business from anyone. As now Unforgiven up as well. Players could have run back in return here, but instead all classes vanilla for the side of NANDEM, and they do find an early kill straight onto Pickles. Actually, the soldiers come in straight in for NANDEM. Now this is a disastrous push for the Germans. They cannot hold on. Instead, we have to run back to last. Philip almost gets caught in 19 HP, and he's sitting far back. Now, Unforgiven, 50%. Pickles is all the way back up, and I don't think you should push this with NANDEM. Instead, build this up to 100%. Boxy has some time, and Shocky as well, trying to distract, making it happen by just falling down instead. Now Unforgiven, 70, 80, 90% Uber here, and we're looking at a NANDEM push, trying to even it out here.
They want to have another round on the board as quickly as possible. Put themselves back in contention for actually taking the map. As the Uber comes in, they do have to deal with that level 3 sentry. It's being tanked a little bit as well, but there's also a bit of cap time before Phoenix gets flashed on the point, gets juggled away. Shocky now has the Pyro trying to hold it down, but D gets taken care of immediately. They're actually finding quite a few frags onto the Germans already. Lots of cap time as well. Flip gets taken out on the point, and there you go. they find the frags, they find what they need, they get that second round, and it's a pause being called by the Germans this time around.
Yeah, the tack pause there. There must have been a bit of a tilter, right? Losing your medic, trying to just push out when he just goes down instead. Oh, we have to refocus. They've lost the last 2 mids quite handedly as well, right? They need to figure out some kind of other angle, some other place to go, because it just has not been working out in their favor. The early aggression onto Luca NANDEM got shut down so perfectly last time around. So now we're back onto the middle. Early Soldier Bomb once again, and Shocky coming in down under, and there's a lot of damage onto Unforgiven, instantly taken down. We're trading 2 players here for the German side, as now Hugie and Phoenix can run around and convert as they lose their medic, but they clean up everyone else. But Piggles is back on Lust, and he's going to have an Uber charge to work with. A lot of ground to cover, though. You can see NANDEM, they're taking as much space as they can for as long as they can, giving themselves as many opportunities as possible here to try and spring a trap onto Piggles.
Yeah, they know that these Germans are aggressive. They want to get out, and they're gonna go do it through dungeon, which, well, they're gonna be aware that Blank did find them, did meet them before getting instantly annihilated, but, well, they got second at the end of the day. It buys them a little bit of time on the side of NANDEM, gives them an opportunity to at least set up a bit of a defense, perhaps on mid. Still, you know, a player respawning as well. They're gonna be mostly ready as Kane just gets shut down immediately as well by nice stickies. So, yeah, they actually have a chance of holding this decently well. Piggles, that's their just use, and they have to chase this Uber as best they can. They do find frag at 2, okay, they get 2, but they lose Philip on the other side. Hugie is still behind as well, threatening the back cap, and, well, unless Fishcup can win these, or they find this scout sooner rather than later, which they do, it could have been a bit dangerous, but it does save NANDEM even more time here. They will have to give up mid ultimately, but it bought them quite a bit of time, and Unforgiven is going to have an Uber now to respond with, so if these Ubers are disconnected, the leapfrogging shall continue, and NANDEM are rearing to go straight away as well into this midpoint.
We're right back in it here, on top as well. Kayan, once again, not really finding success in those fights up on Bell Tower. Instead, now we're staring down the barrel of a giant advantage here for Unforgiven, right? You can see that NANDEM are just popping the Uber straight in on the 2 Piggles here. It's a lot of damage dealt, and so many members falling here. Luca and Demon finding the Luca magic here in onto lobby. A lot of damage being dealt across the board here. Phoenix not quite able to follow it up on to Shocky, as Shocky has to run out through lower here, but we're getting the second cap. Spawners not quite up. All eyes here on KN. Goes for the high bomb, wants to land it onto the point. Block the capture, doesn't end up getting it instead. Now KN is just in behind, fighting one scout here, but the rest of his team should be worried, very worried about pushes coming in here from the side of NANDEM.
Especially with Kane now dying as well. He was already dead effectively anyway. NANDEM sent back the entire team by... Well, I guess they bought the Germans a little bit of time, but ultimately it doesn't matter. They still have a full Uber ad. Piggles is going to get like 50% by the time they might move in. And they're going to have to get some crazy holds going here. Voxy is on the sniper, might catch somebody un-Ubered around the corner if he's lucky, but that's not going to happen. They have to kite this as best they can. The sentry's taking care of as well. So much cap time already as well. These soldiers have to pull their weight now, get on the point, but nobody can get there. It's so much cap time. It's so close and yet so far. These NANDEM players cannot get back to it. They're being air blasted away. The heavy is denying all this ground as well. They're not finding any more frags. They got the soldiers early, but Voxy is shutting it down. The Putis is too strong. Even Shocky finally goes down, but it's just not enough. They can't quite get the cap. Piggles has his own Uber now. And I guess if they could get the force, it would be a consolation for NANDEM, but they're not getting there. They just won't have the angle to do it. They have to back out the second, hold that instead. Unforgiven is going to get an Uber again sooner rather than later, unless these Germans move quickly, but still, they love doing that. They love doing exactly that, and they're out of dungeon immediately onto this combo, and they just can't quite chase, get caught by the wall.
Oh no! Wait, Arentra's in behind as well. This is a really disastrous push in for the Germans. This is potential to go massively wrong for them, right? Look at the advantage now that Unforgiven has as the players are falling. They do get 2 frags here for the Germans, which should stave off the aggression for just a little bit, but NANDEM, ginormous advantage. Point already has cap time on it. Hugie is down, so I don't think that NANDEM will be looking to push quite yet, but now the soldiers back up, and this time around, Arentra on the pain train as well. We want to get this cap time happening. Boxy building a gun, but honestly, I don't know if this is in time, right? You can see Pickles, 60% already. Luca Enderman wants his Uber in through top. As the Uber's popped in straight away, onto the gun it goes. As the gun kind of is getting shot at. It is taken down as well. And once again, a lot of cap time onto this point. Players being traded off as well. It's 2 players going down for the Germans here. Make it 3. Only players left alive, but there's no point pressure. It's just Pickles who has to walk onto the point, and he doesn't hold on to it. Now NANDEM, they're up 3 rounds. And the Germans, only 2.
They've turned it around. I can't believe it. They found the response to the German mids, even if the Germans find what they want with them. This all-out mid, that's all they've been doing really this entire map. They just send in everything to try and catch off Unforgiven or Luca immediately. But NANDEM have kind of just understood that that's what's happening. They're playing rock, paper, scissors, and now it's on the Germans to find a different way to these mids, to find a way to get something else going, some different strategies here. And, well, they're playing it a little bit more slowly, I guess. They did send in Fishcook behind again, but he's just gonna die immediately. Shocky gets taken down as well, and they just have to give up. At least they're not gonna lose their entire team this time around, but they're already on the back foot. They're down around as well now, and with 5 minutes left on the clock, it's suddenly looking like the Germans are on some heat. They have to find their way back into this, and, well, shutting down Phoenix here is certainly going to buy them a little bit more time on the second, but they still have to fight for it.
We're losing Phoenix very early on, which means the push doesn't really do that much. Instead, is Voxy walking in through the choke point here, trying to make something off of this 2-player advantage that the Germans do have. But, interesting, they are kind of on the back foot now, right? They're down around on Sunshine with 4 minutes left to go. You can do this, right? But it's even Ubers right now on second as well, and you're going to have to find some kind of angle here for the Germans. NANDEM are just going to roll over and give this round to them. They need to manifest some kind of pick onto this red team right now, and they are trying to just peek through Cafe. Is Uber trade coming in as the Uber's popped, but the counter Uber out of Unforgiven is nowhere near. Instead, now Unforgiven dropping quite low, has to go back, pick up the health pack, but NANDEM are not giving this second up for free at all. Instead, now Uber charge in hand of Unforgiven still does not really want to pop this, but he's down 60 HP, and the Pickles arrow from across the map finds the drop on Unforgiven. Now the Germans running away with the tail between their legs. It's a ray of hope for them to come back into this game. They need a round to stay in this. Push it to a golden cap. They want 6 points. They haven't found it this season. And they're trying. Pickles with the heroics, setting his team up for another round. We're going to have to see if they're there, ready to accept the alley-oop.
I saw Unforgiven eat that pipe, and I was like, surely he's gonna pop soon. There's no way he's gonna die to like random spam, right? And Pickles is the one to just shoot a random arrow and get the frag. You love to see it. Unfathomable plays, just insanity. But it's still gotta be a little bit more for the Germans. They gotta at least wait on their Uber to try and get into this last point and have an opportunity at making it even once more. Take it at the very least to a golden cap, but ideally obviously get full points for this map. I suppose we'll see as the Uber goes underway. They get a little bit of cap time as well. Pull these players out of spawn, and honestly, they're doing a decent job with that much cap time already. Finally, these NANDEM players come out, but it doesn't matter because nobody's on the point. They forgot about the objective. They're just getting the night from going there.
Moxie's just on that point for so long, uncontested, as you were saying. No one there to stand on it, no stickies to block him, and that means that the point capped almost just on its own, allowing the Germans to come back in this now. It's 3-3 all to play for with just under 3 minutes left in the game as well. Both teams rather looking to make this 3 points for themselves. We're back onto middle. The aggression here for the Germans once again, but this time shut down at least to a little bit. Philip with a double pipe, but it's traded across as well. 2 players falling down, including a demo man. Now the Germans without that damage dealer instead. Soldiers bombing across, it's blank falling as well. Now no soldier aggression. Scout maybe finding 1 kill as Phoenix, but he does get taken down by Shocky in return. So Unforgiven has to walk back here with Hugie, with Luca, and they're on to second. Even Ubers though, NANDEM, they're still in this. They're fine with the golden cap, honestly. The Germans, the pressure's on them, and they have to keep pushing.
Yeah, they want the full points if they want to have any sort of chance of still making the playoffs at all. Even just losing 1 to having this map go to a golden cap is akin to a disaster for them at this point. So they have to keep up the pressure, and with a minute 40 left on the clock, it's do or die time. Honestly, you can't afford to buy yourself that much time. If you exchange now, you have maybe 1 more Uber if you build insanely quickly afterwards, but you just have to go and you have to make it work. You have to make it happen. Finding Luca early certainly helps you here. Matter of fact, there was a crit out of this. No, it's not a crit. I'm just tripping. Unforgive just didn't have to use again. That's what happened here. So yeah, because I would have expected him to use there, but he didn't. So they're gonna hold last with the Uber instead, and I mean, it might bite him a little bit of time, but these Germans are rearing again. They get a bit of cap time already. There's no sentry set up yet. They find blank as well, and they're just doing this dry.
No
they're
way.
just doing it dry.
Ooh.
So much cap time. The Uber gets used to protect it, but now it's out of the equation. You still have a minute left for the Germans, and if they don't lose second here, which NANDEM are not gonna risk pushing out at this point, they're just gonna bite their time, go for the golden cap. It's on the Germans. One last opportunity to take this in regulation time, to get the full 3 points instead of going to a golden cap. They're gonna get that Uber as fast as possible, and will have it before the clock hits 0. But this next push has to stick. It has to be the one to make it happen. Without it, nothing will go here. They're going to a golden cap, so we'll see if they do it. And there's so much cap time. There has to be somebody going the point at all times for NANDEM, which is perfect for the Germans because they just mulched them. It doesn't matter if everybody dies afterwards, because you've already cleared off the point. The pup push was enough, and it's going to be 4-3.
Germans taking crucial points. I'm assuming that there's some weird mathematical anomaly way where the Germans are still kind of in the playoff race, and it started with getting all 6 points here tonight. I think NANDEM really showing up on this map number 1, but it's Germans taking this an absolute nail biter there in at the end. It's the Germans. They take their first victory of the season. I can't believe. You look at the names of that team, you look at where they ended up last season, look at where they ended up at LAN, and compare it, to what we've seen this season, and it is a season to forget for the Germans, but we're starting it off, I guess, a little ray of hope. It is tiny. It's not very big. I think we need other teams to get penalty points if the Germans want it. But I guess technically there is a way. If TLR, I don't know, spontaneously combust or something, right? They could do it. If you get your finest German-made special grade copium, there is a way.
Yeah, the rough thing for the Germans at this point really is that the one team that's still above them in the tables now, which is NANDEM, who they just defeated, has to go up against TLR and Skeda, who are also both above the Germans in the table. Which means that even if NANDEM lose to both of them, Skeda and TLR are gonna get points. I guess maybe if all those matches are ties, maybe? If all of those teams above them now tie all of their remaining matches and feed some more points to the Polish team and maybe NANDEM and stuff, maybe that's how you can eke out a playoff spot for the Germans here. I wouldn't count it out mathematically just yet, but I'm also not the one running the rule set and making sure that tiebreakers and stuff like that are taken into account and whatnot. So yeah, I do believe it could be possible, but the stars definitely have to align.
I'm gonna be honest, I have no idea if it's possible or not. Everything there's so many. This season's so weird and so close and so funky, and I don't know what's going on. I don't think anyone knows what's going on. We'll just kind of have to see when the chips fall at the end of the season. We've got some logs on your screen for you once again. Phoenix is going 2 for 1 once again.
Yeah.
We're seeing very even deaths this time around for both medics as well. And yeah, I mean, honestly, this is one of those games. The DPMs are low, but that's because we're playing Sunshine. And we're not allowed to have fun. But it was good. This was a very good game, a very close one as well, Sonny. Unfortunately, commiserations to NANDEM there, unable to find any points. And I think in a game where probably, honestly, you're looking at the results so far this season, the points that that NANDEM have been able to take off other teams, they're probably coming into this expecting to be able to take some points, not able to find it, and that is just a bit of a bummer for them. But yes, they did play very well. I think especially on Sunshine, managing to find their form, come back in. But it's just the Germans proving themselves a little bit too strong in the end. They have the mental fortitude to come back, get that victory. Now, the Germans, a little bit of a hope and prayer. They have to play against Skeda next as well. So the fight isn't over. There is more chaos left in store for them. And yeah, NANDEM, they've still got TLR, they've still got Skeda as well. But I think it's such a strange world where NANDEM somehow, some way, are in a better spot for playoffs than the second place finishes last season.
Yeah, that's a curious situation. You got a team of almost exclusively newcomers, making big moves, and somehow, some way, we now have like 5 teams in contention for 2 or 3 playoff spots. It's a bit weird. Like the only one confirmed is NANDEM at the very top, and then like after that, it's just pure chaos and upsets, and it could flip either way. And there's still 2 whole weeks of this left. It's gonna be wild. It's gonna be a wild ride. Anybody can take it. I think anybody can still do it at this point. It's anybody's game, except for Global Yeti, unfortunately.
Unfortunately, if you're Global Yeti, maybe try against next season. But for everyone else, there's a shot in the dark out there waiting for you. I think, you go to TFTV, you see there's more games coming up this week. Better stuff. More games. They're coming up in like 3 days, I believe, on Thursday when I'm busy.
Wednesday even.
Wednesday and Thursday, but I'm busy both days. But other people are not. You're not busy on Wednesday. You're going to be casting that. It's NANDEM versus 4Fence. I think that's a game, right? That's the top 2. Yeah. That's going to be a good one.
I'm looking forward to that one. That should be a very, very interesting one indeed. It will have implications for 4Fence, I suppose, if they can sneak any points off of NANDEM. The only team that was capable of doing that, I believe, was Skeda. So, hats off to them, mind you. Like, no team has managed to do that for a couple of seasons now, to sneak any points off of NANDEM in the regular season. So that in and of itself is an achievement. But yeah, like if 4Fence managed to sneak some points off of NANDEM, that's gonna probably solidify them as the second place. Otherwise, well, they're still in the running anyway. It's gonna be an interesting one. Perhaps a finals preview if NANDEM don't have their playoff spurs continue.
Guys, NANDEM are making finals this season for sure. I think. Yeah, okay, Sonny. With that in mind, right? The playoff race, it's tightening. Everything's getting more and more confusing. And if you want to keep being confused, maybe eventually not be confused as the season ends, you should keep on watching. But I think that's it for us for now. We are going to go to bed. I think Samus is very, very tired. And honestly, so am I. But yes. Thank you all so much for watching, everyone. We'll see you back on Wednesday. Night. This is